All right, what's going on, everybody? We got another Dandadan stream. I feel like it's been a hot minute since I've read Dandadan. I've not read the chapter. Yeah, I did start it, but I caught myself. I started the chapter because I wanted to check it out just real quick before the stream. Read more of it than I probably should have, so I spoiled myself. But I didn't finish the chapter, and I'm curious to see how it ends. But so far, it's really, really good. And then, yeah, I kind of want to talk about Dandadan just in general once we finish reading the chapter. We got Josh in chat. What's going on, Josh? We got, I am going to butcher this, so I apologize. We got, Zylevi, or Zalivi, however you say your name. Yo, what's going on? Yeah, Dandadan has been crazy good. I kind of, so I want to read the chapter, obviously, but I also want to talk about, why I feel like Dandadan is probably the best ongoing manga. And to start that, we are not going to start with Christmas music. Zilvi? Okay. I knew it had to be something like that. The whole XY thing has always been over my head, which is not hard because I'm short. But Zilvi, and thank you for correcting me. I will remember that from now on. Zilvi. Anyway. Yeah, so if we look at, so we got Shonen Jump and Jump Plus, obviously. Weekly Shonen magazine. I feel like the best one is between, we'll throw Galaxius in there, but Galaxius, I think 4 Nights is in there as well. Weekly Shonen magazine. Blue Lock, I know people love Blue Lock. 4 Nights is in there. Gachi Akuta, Ranger Reject, Hajime no Ippo, which not everyone reads. Rent a Girlfriend, which I have some thoughts on Rent a Girlfriend, obviously. Shangri-La Frontier, To Your Eternity, which I feel like nobody actually reads To Your Eternity. No worries, I regret my decisions made as a child for a username I've been tied to ever since. You know what? Sometimes you just gotta roll with it. Could always make a new account, but I understand not wanting to move all your favorites and your subscriptions and all that good stuff. We have Weekly Shonen Champion, which I'm not too sure what's in there off the top of my head. Got Baki. Iruma-kun. I like Iruma-kun. I don't think it's the best ongoing manga. What else? So we got Shonen Jump. Weekly Shonen, so we gotta look at Weekly Shonen Sunday. We got Nova Arc in the chat. What's going on, Nova Arc? Pleasure to have you. It's my same username, nickname on AO3, X, Discord, and too many people have known me as Zilvi for years. Yeah, that's fair. That's very fair. You could always do like a spin on it, right? You could do the same PFP, but you could do like, instead of Zilvi, just like V. I don't know. You could workshop it. You could, if you feel like you're stuck, you could always tune it. But I like it. I think it's pretty cool. It just, I don't see the whole XY thing all the time. So, as a lazy English speaker. I don't always remember how you're supposed to read it. But Weekly Shonen Sunday. I know Freerin is in there. Trying to remember what else. Weekly Shonen Sunday. Freerin. Yeah, that's kind of it. I mean, I know there's a bunch of manga and Weekly Shonen Sunday. There's Case Closed, obviously. All right, Detective Conan. But really the big one is also you have Mao by Rumiko Takahashi. But really the big one is just Frieren, as far as I know. Yeah. So I feel like personally, out of all the big magazines, obviously Dandadan is in Jump Plus, not Weekly Shonen Jump, but it gets included enough, and it's basically Shonen Jump, just digital. I feel like it's really between, for me, it's between Gachi Akuta and Dandadan. But if I was to do, you know, like a top 10, Kagurabachi's got to be in there. Galaxius, I feel like, has to be in there. Maybe like number 10. It's still pretty early, but I feel like it's getting there. Yeah, I just feel like it's too good, and it's definitely the most consistent manga. Like, of the top manga right now, they've all sort of had an arc that was like, right? Like, not terrible, but like, wasn't your favorite. Passable. Dandadan has never had an arc that wasn't at least as good, if not better, than all the other arcs before it. Like, it just progressively gets better and better and better. Eden says Galaxius is definitely up there. I hesitate to put it in like top 10 just because it's still pretty new, but I think in half a year or so, or the next year, it's like top 10, I feel like. Everyone in the spoiler chat in a Discord server for Dandadan, I'm assuming, has been losing our minds over this chapter. Yeah, this chapter, so again, I just read the beginning. I didn't even want to do that. I always try to read these chapters fresh for stream. But this chapter's like really good. I didn't see the twist that was coming at the very beginning of the chapter. And I wasn't expecting like an emotional chapter. I thought it was just going to be straight into a fight, but we get like a nice emotional chapter. I just mean based on what we've had so far, I think it's at a strong start. Ichi too. Ichi again. Ichi is another one where I feel like it's still just too early. Kagurabachi, I have to give it to, just because it's been consistently like the most talked about manga in the circles I'm in, like consistently for the last year or so. It's very loaded. Yeah, this Dandadan chapter has a ton going on. Kyoshi could be in there. Kyoshi could be top 10 or like top 15, but this current arc of Kyoshi did not go the way people were expecting. Excuse me. The fights have been like very like, they start, they end, they start, they end, they start, they end. And so Kyoshi is definitely one of the better manga that's ongoing. But again, it's going to be, this is why I keep saying it's like the Black Clover of this generation. It just is really going to have an uphill battle of breaking that threshold between, you know, pretty good and like okay to like one of the best. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? So for Kyoshi, I am perfectly happy with Kyoshi. I love Kyoshi. I thought the new Kyoshi chapter was just as good as the new Kagurabachi chapter from yesterday. I know everyone, I'm gonna sound like a hater, but people love to glaze Kagurabachi. I think part of it is just because people want it to be like the next Jujutsu Kaisen, which for the most part it is. It fills a lot of the same roles, it fills the same spot, it does a lot of the same things, but I feel like people kind of made that decision like way ahead of time. And so now we're at this point where like every chapter of Kagurabachi is like 10 out of 10, right? It's almost becoming like a One Piece where like everything is a perfect chapter. And that's fine. But people don't give that same level of credit to Kyoshi. Like, I feel like people are not just like dismissing Kyoshi, right? Like, oh, whatever, right? It's not like Astro Royale. Astro Royale, people just like didn't care, right? They just don't care. With Kyoshi specifically, I feel like people go out of their way to hate on it. They're like, oh, this manga sucks. This manga sucks. When are they going to cut it? Right? So it's when I talk about Kyoshi and I say like people don't like the pacing and it's going to have an uphill battle, it really is like this generation's Black Clover of like, it's just always going to be that manga that people hate on. And if you like it, great. And if you don't, you're probably in the majority. We got Eddie Rayman in the chat. What's going on, Eddie? Pleasure to have you as always. Kiki's Nuts. Interesting username. Gachi Akuta is better than everything. I can give you that. I feel like part of the reason I put Gachi Akuta and Dandadan in the same like 1-for-1 spot is because they are both drawn with such a level of detail. Like, of course, the artists have assistants, so it's not like they're drawing it completely by themselves. But they're both drawn with such a level of detail, you have to wonder how these artists don't burn out, which they probably do, but they just don't advertise it, right? I was looking into it today in my own personal research, which will I want to do a stream on at some point, but it's crazy so for people who don't read comics, right? Comic books, especially Marvel Comics and DC Comics, they have teams. Like, they have artists and assistants, but like, it's not like manga where you have like one main artist and then like all the assistants. You have the penciler, so the person who draws everything by pencil. You have the person who does all the ink, right? So they go all over it. They go over everything, right? You have the letterer, you have the colorist, like you have a whole ass team, and the comics don't come out as frequently, but the finished product you get is just more detailed and it feels more polished most of the time. With manga, the reason it seems more simplistic is because that's all they can get done on a weekly basis. So especially with manga, like Gachi Akuta and Dandadan, it's crazy that they get such a level of detail in every chapter on a weekly basis. Like, arguably better than like something you would see in like Invincible or, you know, Spider-Man or X-Men or whatever, right? Like, it's crazy. If they had the teams that like these Marvel people and DC people have, manga would murder. They would destroy. Like, just the fact that manga's in black and white and comics are always in color. Like, if manga was always in color, I feel like it would dominate a much bigger share of the market because people don't want to, you know, necessarily read in black and white, right? Comics are just more appealing in that sense. But I'm going on a tangent here. Let me take a look at chat. From the magazine cover, it seems like Kyoshi is in the 4th tier. Yeah, people like to go by Weekly Shonen Jump covers, which is not untrue, but it's not like a wed rule. Have I read Nice Prison? No. It doesn't seem bad, but it doesn't really appeal to me. If people after like 10 chapters are like, yo, this manga's peak, you gotta check it out, it's hilarious, it's awesome, the art is great, I'll check it out, but I get the feeling that I don't really want to read it. Tatsu deserves so many health breaks, that's what I'm saying. Dude, he does take breaks, but they're usually like research breaks. By the way, great video on JoJo's art and your date from Wall. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. So fun fact, that calendar is probably gonna get moved because I want to put posters. I have a poster here that's gonna get moved, but I want to put some posters here. I have some Scott Pilgrim. I technically have, so I have one Scott Pilgrim poster that's actually signed by Brian Lee O'Malley. I want to put that up there. And then I have a couple more I bought when I went to the signing, those anniversary posters. I have some nice ones that I want to put up there. True, Marvel and DC Comics have 100 people to write and draw comics, while manga only has a few people. It's more streamlined. Like, manga, you have one person and assistants, right? And the assistants are just filling in the blanks. Like, they're not, you know, doing whatever. If they had to color or do the lettering or whatever, that main artist would just have more work. Manga can be in color, they're just cutting costs, I'm guessing is what you meant to say. Manga could absolutely be in color, but the other thing you have to remember is, so comics don't typically come out on a weekly basis. Some comics do, but as far as I understand, those are like the single issue comics. Most comics come out one issue at a time on a monthly basis. So you don't get like a regular release schedule necessarily, but each issue is like a finished product, right? It's complete. It's a complete comic. It's however many pages. It's colored, it's lettered, it's inked, right? With manga, all of the big manga publishers publish in weekly print magazines. You could not possibly get that done on a weekly schedule and get everyone to coordinate if you also had to release it in color. You would have to get everything penciled, everything inked, and everything colored by whatever, Saturday. And then put that all in. And then it would cost even more money to print them, right? Because now you got to get everyone to coordinate. Then it costs even more money to print, right? So it would just cost way more than it costs to print monthly comic books. I don't know what the numbers are, but I would have to imagine they're comparable because manga's doing more volume, but it's in black and white. And comics, maybe they print more than manga magazines, I don't know, but they do 1 week out of the 4 of a month, but it's in color. Hero Organization is also good. Hero Organization is good. I do have to give it credit. It's not my favorite, but I do like it. And also, a ton of people keep recommending it. I'm like 5 chapters behind because I caught up early this year. So I think I'm probably like at most 7 chapters behind. I caught up in like January or February. It is good. The art is good. It's not great. It's good. The characters are okay. I just don't think it compares to like Dandadan, Gachi Akuta. I would definitely say I like something like Galaxius better than Hero Organization, but that's me. Yeah, most comics are monthly. Okay, that's what I thought. I think manga being without color makes them unique. Well, it's not all comics, right? Like, it just depends on the publisher. So obviously, if you're someone like Marvel or DC and, you know, like you're really streamlined and commercialized and you're just really trying to push sales, you got to have everything in color and you got to have your sexy superheroes, right? But look at Scott Pilgrim. Scott Pilgrim, right? So that was 2004 it started, right? If I'm not mistaken. Maybe later. Scott Pilgrim, that was comic, graphic novel, whatever. That was black and white when it had its initial run. And the reason for that is he was doing it by himself. And he didn't get assistance until volume 6, I think it was. So like halfway through the series. So it's just a matter of division of labor. The big comic book companies, they have much more division of labor. But the payoff is you get a more polished product, a more detailed product. With manga could look exactly like comic books, probably better. But the trade-off is you get more manga. Like in the time you get 1 issue of a new comic book, you've had at least 4 chapters of your favorite manga. Let's see who just subscribed. We got Giller Mac just subscribed. Thank you, Giller Mac. Welcome to the channel. Let me answer chat real quick and then I want to get into Dandadan. I've been yapping for a hot minute. Speaking of superheroes, has anyone checked out To Be Hero X? No, I have not. I have not. I have not even heard of it. LOL Gamer says, I'm following these new manga. Shinobi, that sounds familiar. Centauria is really good. I'm probably like 12-ish, 10-ish chapters behind on Centauria because I read that in the winter. But Centauria is good. I would say it's slightly below. I would say it's like high A tier, very low S tier, as much as I like it. Also reading Isekai Maid no Mitsuboshi Gourmet, Ichi the Witch, and Galaxius. Yeah. So Ichi the Witch, Galaxius, right? Like these are the manga that people are reading, right? Heard that Usazaki endorsed Chojo. Excuse me. I feel like that's really weird for Usazaki to endorse a manga artist, right? Like another manga. Because Usazaki is pretty young, as talented as they are. They're pretty young. They're not a veteran like Ichiro Oda or like Horikoshi. Excuse me. All right. Yapping is over. Let's get to the good stuff. Let's read Dandadan. So Dandadan chapter 192, and thank God we're getting a new chapter next week. If you read Shonen Jump, you know Shonen Jump is going to be on break this upcoming Sunday, but thankfully Dandadan is getting a new chapter. So again, like I said, if you missed it earlier in the stream, I started this chapter already, so this isn't completely fresh for me, but I only read about half the chapter, so I have no idea how this ends. But we start off, recap from last chapter. Nobody can really see Momo anymore. The curse is getting worse. We find out in this chapter that Vamola can't even like remember her. And the same is true for Seiko, her own grandmother. So the curse is progressing even worse. And then we cut to Zuma, right? Ouji. Ouji is practically blind. He started out, he just needed glasses. His vision was blurry. Now he can barely even see. And the old man, Daiki, is getting more, he's getting older and more decrepit. So there really seems to be a time crunch on this curse. That being said, they haven't even left the train, either a train station or a bus station, I can't remember. But they haven't even left to go find the cure for their curse yet. But the old man, Daiki, he asks one of the delinquents that's carrying him, he's like, why are you guys going out of your way for me and Ouji, me and Zuma? And we get Ouji backstory, which obviously we already knew his backstory with the police officer, his adoptive father, his brother, and his mother. But we didn't really know more about like how he found his friends, right? We knew like the very vague details. Now we get like the other side of his life when he was like a pissed off gang boss, basically. But even then, he was a decent dude, right? We get a story of how one of the girls in his crew was basically homeless, right? I'm not sure what the product is that she's abusing in this chapter. It looks like some kind of pill or something. Some kind of, it says it's a vitamin. I don't know what it is, but the kids are like, oh, hey, don't take too many Flintstone vitamins. They're like, yeah, if you take enough of these, you'll die. Like, this will kill you. And then the girl explains that she's got a similar background to all the other kids, right? Like, she sucks at school. Her parents gave up on her. Her teachers gave up on her. She's like, why should I bother living? And obviously, Ouji is no stranger to that line of thinking. But even when he's all pissed off, he tells her, there's nothing I can do for you. I got no idea how to help you. But as long as you're here, it'll be fun for us. The way you join right in and make everyone laugh, I can't do that. Whenever you get sad, just come here. And then he tells her, quit using the drugs. I don't know what the drugs are. It says it's a vitamin on the box, but I've never heard of a vitamin that kills you. I don't know what it is. But Ouji, being the badass, chill gang leader that he is, he basically saves this girl's life. And this kid says, you know, life moves fast. We're just kids. We don't know what the heck's going on. We just want to feel like we belong somewhere. And Ouji did that for us. We needed somebody like him, and he saved us. So we do anything for him. And this is like, you know, like major brownie points for Ouji this chapter. Like if you didn't like Ouji already, which I don't know why you wouldn't like him, I feel like you have to love him this chapter. I feel like Ouji stocks were already on a rise. They were kind of, you know, whatever for a while recently. But after this chapter, they're like, right? Like through the sky, through the roof. Ouji really has, by his own character, propped himself up as one of the top 10 characters of Dandadan, without a doubt. They're at an airport? Okay. That, yeah, judging by the panels, that makes more sense. Ouji is Mama Hen, and we love him for it. Ouji is everyone's big bro. That's what he is. He's big bro. He comes in. If you're being a shithead, he gives you a little smack over the head. And if you need a ride home, he gives you a ride home. He's big bro like that, and we love him. Oh shit. Wait a minute. Get out of here. They're coming back now. What? Get the out of here. So they're at the airport, and there's a news report on a road nearby Maebashi Station. A vehicle was attacked that was transporting men currently detained and standing trial for murder, kidnapping, and other crimes. Some of the men escaped. Their names are Juichi Kito, Juhiko Kito, and Jumanuel Kito. That is the first time I've heard that name. But it's the brothers from the Gigi arc, from the Subterranean arc, the Subterraneans. And they're with their mother, the leader of the Subterraneans. So they came here to hunt down Gigi and Momo. So the Subterraneans are going to attack Gigi and his team on an airplane on their way to go deal with this curse. Bro. Best arc. Best arc. This arc is already leaps and bounds. It's getting there, but it's going to be leaps and bounds ahead of the globalist arc, the like big alien arc. Like, bro, they're gonna have a big fight on an airplane. This arc is just awesome. Like, it's a bunch of clashes rather than like a long ass war, but like the individual clashes are so peak. Like the whole Seiko versus the Raging Bull and like Jongsha thing, and Seiko with her hair down, peak fiction, right? The alien, right? The new alien lady, what's her name? The mercenary with the scar. Her recharacterization, peak fiction. Anything with Saint Germain, peak fiction. All the Ouji stuff, peak fiction. This arc is amazing. And this is why I'm saying, besides Gachi Akuta, besides Galaxias, besides, I'll give it to Kagurabachi, this is the best ongoing manga. 100%. Like, it just gets so freaking good. This is fire that Gigi has to carry the weight right now with them specifically coming back. It's funny because he's never really been the leader, but now he's gonna kind of have to be, because as far as we know, Unji's just gonna stay blind. Like, even if he does his transformation, he's probably not gonna be able to see. Nobody else has powers. Vamola has her suit, but she's not really like a fighter, right? She's not a brawler. Momo has her powers, but obviously she's at a disadvantage. Excuse me. Seiko was there as well, but excuse me, with Seiko under a curse, it raises the question of like, will that affect her ability to contribute to the fight? Same thing for Momoa. So really, it's gonna be Gigi and Momo versus the Subterraneans, I feel like, which is crazy. So we already got Ouji stocks are through the roof. Potentially, Gigi stocks are about to be through the roof. If he can carry this next fight, Gigi stocks are about to be astronomical. We joked that the mom remembers Momo regardless of the curse for her sheer hatred for Momo alone. Well, they also said they could like smell her, which does make sense because Momo has like a certain magic. The aliens always seem to recognize her as well. But that does make sense, right? They have a unique spite for Momo. Is the title for real? I'm super curious as to why. To be fair, the art is incredible and the character dynamic is incredible. I mean, you saw it here, right? I mean, I'm flipping out over Dandadan every week. Every chapter is like 10 out of 10. It's just so freaking good. We got Blazing Boy in the chat. What's going on, Blazing Boy? Haven't seen you in a hot minute. Pleasure to have you. Nice black Bull shirt. I love this shirt. It's just a, you know, generic anime shirt, but I love it. It's got like a nice graphic on it. Plus, gotta represent my Black Bulls. A nice camera as well. Thank you. How about Sakamoto Days? Sakamoto Days has been Sakamoto Days. I like Sakamoto Days, but it hasn't really, which I should admit, I'm not caught up on Sakamoto Days, but Sakamoto Days is just kind of Sakamoto Days. I don't really see anyone hyping it up. I don't really see any new fans. So Sakamoto Days is like A tier. It's not S tier. It's A tier. GG stocks are actually going down because he's getting in the way of Okuru and Momo, and it's really stupid. I feel like that is a increasingly unpopular take. I feel like that was only popular in the Globalist arc, where you had moments where it was like just Gigi and Momo. I feel like Gigi has done the whole like, hey, you're precious to me thing harmlessly so many times now, where like it's just harmless. Like nobody really expects anything to happen. And so for that reason, I don't really care when he says things like that. And I think most people recognize that that's just Gigi. Like he's never really going to do anything about it. He's never going to act on his feelings. If he even has like seriously romantic feelings. Okay, I want to hear something spicy. Who's the best main character, Okarun or Momo? False. The answer is both. If you put a gun to my head, I would probably say Momo. As much as I like Okarun, I think Momo is a slightly more fun character. But you wouldn't have one without the other, honestly. Personally, I adore Gigi and can see their friendship. Again, in the beginning, it was weird. It was like, dude, like, she clearly has a thing for Okarun. Like, what are you doing? But he's done it so many times now where it's just like a harmless thing. I still think it's kind of silly. Like, it's like, I kind of wish Gigi would just move on, right? But it's not that bad. Momo gets mad at Okarun for cheating. Gigi's ship has sailed. Exactly. Like, there's no chance. No chance. It was different in the beginning when Gigi was still fairly new. But But I feel like Momo and Okarun have had so many more like moments where they've grown together, and you haven't had anything like that for Momo and Gigi. So I feel like he's just a harmless character. That being said, that's why I want to see him get like serious fights, because now he's just like a background character. Like this is why I want to see more for Gigi. It is at a point where it is completely serious to say that Kinta is more useful, is more of an MVP than Gigi. Like Kinta has done more in the last, let's say 50 chapters than Gigi has. That's just facts. People probably like Gigi more, but let's be honest, who contributes more to fights? Who contributes more to the team effort? It's Kinta. Gigi doesn't really do all that much. And name the last time we've had Evil Eye. Never. Can't remember. Kinta is just the GOAT. He really is. I can't wait to see him in the anime. I feel like he's going to get a mixed reception from anime fans at first. That he's going to become like not just the poster child, but the grand champion for anime nerds and otaku. 100%. Gigi is legit the one that has to lead the way for the moment. Doesn't even have Ira this time. That's what I'm saying. Like he can't. I feel like Tatsu at this point has to go out of his way for Gigi not to at least have like a really cool moment in this next fight. Because again, Ouji is blind. He can still transform, presumably, but he's blind. Seiko presumably might be out of commission because we don't know what's going on with her and the curse. Same with Vamola. So really it's just Momo. It's primarily Momo and Gigi. Ouji could steal the spotlight, but I feel like it should go to Gigi. I don't know about the Serpos in general, but the one Serpo character has become like a nice, fun character for sure. Kinta also made the spy tech. He's the reason why the teams became a thing, because he saw that the girls were in trouble. He did a freaking Akira slide. That's what I'm saying, bro. Like, he's slick. Like, you can't mess with Kinta. He's a G, man. He's just a gangster. That's really all it is. Kinta is cool when he's not trying too hard. Yes, when he's trying to be cool, he's a little cringe. I'll give you that much. But when he's just doing his thing, he's actually the coolest character. That being said, he has a bit of a complex and he's always trying to be cool. So it's easy to understand why people might think he's kind of annoying. Here's a question. What makes a great arc and what types of arcs are there? That's kind of a loaded question, but I'll do my best to answer that. But first, Eden says, outside of art, I think one of Tatsu's greatest strengths, especially in this arc, is the character dynamics. He has found a way to switch up any random team amongst the main cast, and it works. It's whether it's duos, trios, or more. Tatsu just makes good characters. Like, even like he can take random characters that were fodder in a previous arc and make them the coolest goddamn character in the next arc. Like, again, the alien lady. The alien lady was just a random fodder alien in the last arc. And now she's a cool, badass mercenary in this arc, right? Like, I want her full backstory. I want the lore. I want the emotional team up. I want the redemption. I want all that shit, right? But yeah, it's at a point where Inagaki was really good with Dr. Stone with doing that as well. It's just, you have to make all the characters good characters. Like, you can't have like a handful of characters that are cool and then like the other characters are just like there. all the characters have to be cool characters, right? Excuse me. I love how Kinta helped Okarun with his confidence the last few chapters. Excuse me. I don't know if it was his confidence, but excuse me, pardon me. They had like a nice synergy going on, which was nice because I feel like that duo specifically hadn't really been, pardon me, in a fight. So that was like a nice team up. Like specifically that duo as a duo. But to answer Josh's question, what makes a great arc? A great arc, it's got to build off of, so an arc is just a story. It's just a story that's self-contained. Well, even that's kind of a take, but it's a story within a story, right? Beginning, middle, end within a story that has a bunch of arcs. So with arcs, right? It's got to build off of the stuff before. It should have some kind of transition in the beginning. And it's got to have all the same parts of a story. Good beginning, middle, end, good climax, good characters. And specifically like with an arc as opposed to just a story in general, it's got to build off of and also exceed something about the previous arc. Like with JJK, if you talk about Culling Games versus Shibuya, some people might say, oh, it's just Shibuya 2.0, but Culling Games did a lot of stuff that was even better than Shibuya, right? So that's why Culling Games was as popular as it was. So Eddie Rayman says his favorite kind of arcs are tournament arcs, death games, rescue missions. Tournament arcs can either be the worst arc or the best arc. It's not a bad formula for an arc. It just can be extremely painfully basic if you just rely on the formula of a tournament. If you make it an entertaining story in addition to having a cool tournament, it can be cool. But if you're like, oh, I don't really have anything planned, so let's do a tournament arc, 9 times out of 10, it's gonna suck. Is it weird to say Culling Games wasn't my favorite arc? No, and I don't think you would be alone. I don't think that's a hot take necessarily. It might be a little bit. But I feel like for a lot of people, Culling Games is where people felt like JJK started to decline a bit. It's definitely where some of the more prominent issues really showed face. Like the art style, right? If you don't like the newer art style of JJK, that's really where that new art style like spearheaded. I don't think it's a hot take. That's what I'm saying. I feel like if I did a poll and I said, which one do you like better, Shibuya or Culling Games? I think it would be like 55-45 Shibuya. People took a break from JJK during Culling Games. The problem with Culling Games is you had a transition arc, you had the preparation arc, but it kind of just, it's weird because it was clearly a separate thing from Shibuya. Like Shibuya has a clear endpoint, but as a transition, it kind of just feels like an introduction or a prologue to Culling Games. So a lot of people at the time felt like there was no cooldown between Shibuya and Culling Games. And I think that's why at that time you would see so many people say JJK is just fights. Because that's what happened. You had a battle royale, then you had the preparation arc, which also had a ton of fights, and then you had Culling Games, which is another battle royale. So it's like, Like, what do you do? Hot take, but I think Shibuya is mid. That's definitely a hot take. And I disagree. I don't think it's like a 10 out of 10 arc necessarily, but I definitely think it's better than mid. I really hated the Culling Game arc, and I even reread it to check. Check for weekly fatigue. Culling Game has its peaks, but I think the reason why so many people think it's overrated is because it does a lot of the same. It does a lot of things better than Shibuya, but it also does a lot of the same things basically as Shibuya. So it's like, you know. Otaku Culture asks, I've been meaning to ask you this since the video you made about ongoing manga. These are all the titles you put in S tier. What would be the correct ranking order in your mind? So you listed One Piece, Dandadan, Gachi Akuta, Blue Lock, Chainsaw Man, Kagurabachi, Shangri-La Frontier, and Witch Watch. I would say Blue Lock at the bottom, just because I don't read it. And also I'm not the biggest soccer fan. Then Witch Watch, then Shangri-La Frontier, then Kagurabachi, then One Piece, then Gachi Akuta, and then Dandadan. Going from bottom of S tier to top of S tier. I think, because we did that winter going into spring, I believe. So we should probably do that again. Should probably do that at the end of June. So what is it? It's the beginning of May almost. So in like 2 months, we should probably do another manga stream. And that time, I think what we'll do that time is we'll try to get like all the magazines. Remember Ouji speaking facts? Look, man, I'm a man of science. So when I speak about manga, I'm just talking about science. I'm just being scientific. What was I going to say? When we do the next one, like I'll try to get Weekly Shonen Champion, Weekly Shonen Sunday, right? We also did, I think we technically got, Weekly Shonen magazine in there as well, but like not really. When I do it next time, we'll try and do a more thorough list of manga. Still, it is interesting. Culling Games was always the plan. It was originally meant to be the first arc. I would love to see where you found that, because I've never seen that before. I don't doubt you necessarily, but I've never heard anyone say that. I would have to see where Akutami said that. But yeah, Dandadan, 10 out of 10 chapter, 9 out of 10. Dude, I need to go through this playlist and get rid of the Christmas music. How do you guys feel about Christmas music? Obviously, I think spring is a little early, even for most people, for Christmas music. But I'm personally the kind of person, I wait until Black Friday. I tolerate it if I'm in the car, if I'm in the kitchen and somebody plays it, right? But I personally, I don't play a single Christmas song until Black Friday. Specials, like TV specials, are different. Sometimes, you know, sometimes you're under the blanket and, you know, you're cozy, you got a fire going, and you're like, you know what? I need a good cry, right? I need a good heartwarming story. Let's go watch a Christmas special or two. It's too soon for Christmas music. That's what I thought. I like Christmas music. I love Christmas music, but I don't want to listen to it. I don't want to listen to it in May, in April. Somebody said, how long does a manga have to go for to not be called a new gen? That's an excellent question. I don't think anybody knows the answer to that. My answer that I posted a video about in the fall, I think, right around the time JJK ended, I said I would say anything after like JJK or Demon Slayer is new gen, and anything before that is like current gen, right? Because if you still have an anime running, that should be like current gen, right? So like One Piece is the exception, because One Piece is like, you know, a bajillion years old. But like Jujutsu Kaisen, the manga is over, but we're still waiting on season 3. I think we can call that current gen at this point. Witch Watch I would call new gen, depending on when it started, because it's only got 1 season of anime. That's era, not new gen. Listen, stream's almost over. I'm not getting into the whole era versus new gen thing. I'm just saying I would have to look at it again, but I would say roughly around the time of Jujutsu Kaisen is like current gen, and anything after Jujutsu Kaisen is new gen. Gege released storyboard of Jujutsu Kaisen where Megumi was the main character, Nanami and Momo were the villain. Interesting. Nanami as the villain would not go over well. I think that's part of the problem most times in those conversations. People don't think about a current gen. It's either old or new. Well, I actually like old versus new better, because like it's more vague, but like it's less strict. Like with gens, you need a very specific cutoff. Like a gen is a very specific thing. Like with cars, right? There's, you know, like a first gen Honda Civic, and then a second gen, and then a third gen. And it's not like, oh, well, that's sort of like the third gen. Like, no, there's a very specific run of cars that are the third gen of Honda Civic, and then it ends, and then it's the fourth gen. It's not up for debate. It's not a debate. The only reason it's a debate in manga is because it's not an official thing. It's a fan-made thing. I like fighting games because like there's clearly generations of fighting games. Basically every time they put out a new Street Fighter, that's a new generation of fighting games. But with something like fighting games, you can kind of just say newer fighting games and older fighting games, right? Fighting games are a little younger than manga because manga goes back to like the 60s. But fighting games, I think everyone pretty much knows like what's older fighting games and what's newer fighting games. Older fighting games are like anything like, I would say like 2004 at the very most and older, right? So basically anything before Street Fighter 4 would be like older fighting games, because Street Fighter 4 was like the first modern fighting game. Anything after Street Fighter 4, that's a newer fighting game, right? So Guilty Gear Xrd feels like older fighting games. That's a newer fighting game. But yeah. So with anime and manga, I would say at this point, I would say the cutoff is somewhere, not new gen, old gen, but like newer anime and manga versus older anime and manga. This might be the stream Thursday, to be honest. We might need to have this discussion. But new anime and manga, I would say I would say 2000s-ish is roughly the cutoff, because those 2000s manga started a lot of the tropes. So when I say 2000s manga, I mean like Big Three, Zatch Bell, Shaman King, Hunter x Hunter, right? Those started all the trends in manga we're reading today, right? Whereas like 90s and older is probably a safe bet for like older manga. So older manga would be like Dragon Ball is like weirdly the cutoff, I would say, because Dragon Ball was like mid 80s and 90s, right? So the farther away from Dragon Ball, that would be like older manga, right? So if you're like early 80s or older, that's obviously old, right? And even then, for a lot of people, 80s manga is what they grew up on. But in today's market, that's older manga. I even hesitate to call like 2000s manga older manga, just because like there's clearly a distinct style of like the 2000s manga versus the manga that comes out today. But generally speaking, I would say it's like 2000-ish, something like that. I know it's a weird question to ask, but is the cap for stylistic reasons, or are you bald? Feel free not to answer. I am balding. I am losing my hair. Just genetics. That's all it is. So I wear a cap because normally I don't wear a cap. Sometimes I wear a cap when I go out, but normally I don't. But I don't think everyone wants to stare at my shiny bald head for an hour and 4 minutes, 3 times a week. I usually buzz my head, so that accentuates it. But again, it is what it is. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Dandadan was great. Read comics and manga books, and read comic books and manga. And don't be such a elite on older versus newer manga. I'm sorry if it made you uncomfortable. I'm very secure about my hair. It's just, I don't think other people want to look at my shiny head for an hour. So it is what it is. Also, I like baseball, so I have no problem wearing baseball caps. I also kind of rock it. I don't know what you guys think. I like wearing baseball caps. I do want to stare at your shiny bald head. Well, thank you, Justin. I appreciate that. On that note, we're going to wrap things up. We will stream again Thursday. Thursday, there is no Marshall King, so I might have to do an old school versus new school manga stream. I'm not the best person to do it, but it might be the first of a series of streams we do on old school versus new school. So that'll be Thursday. We might just do a read through stream. I'm not sure yet. New video tomorrow, or 2 new videos this week. Sunday's stream. So the following Sunday's stream, this upcoming Sunday, might get canceled. 1, because Shonen Jump is on break, and 2, because I might be with family all day Sunday. So it kind of works out because Shonen Jump is on break. But yeah, stream Thursday. Couple new videos this week. Look out for a new monthly update. What is it? Thursday, May 1st. I'll have a monthly update. I have a ton of exciting videos that I think people are really going to enjoy next month. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks everybody. Thanks for a great discussion as always. I will see you